What really are vaccines? Vaccines help us stay healthy and protect us from serious and sometimes deadly diseases. Vaccines are a small amount of weak or dead germs that enter our bloodstream, usually from a shot. When we get the shot, our bodies are exposed to the disease and can then fight it more effectively in the future. The first forms of vaccines originated with Buddhist monks in China during the 17th century. The monks would drink small amounts of snake venom. With this practice, they would gain immunity to certain snake bites. In 1721, the first variolation was performed. Variolations were the first method used to prevent smallpox. It was performed by Lady Mary Montagu on her 2-year-old daughter. The variolation was assisted by Dr. Charles Maitland. In the first variolations, they would grind up smallpox scabs and blow it up the noses of people who had not gotten smallpox before. This was a major step toward the eventual creation of vaccines. The first vaccine was created by Edward Jenner. He became the founder of vaccinology when, in 1796, he inoculated a young boy with cowpox. This was the first vaccine.
Vaccines were not perfect right away. Throughout time, many developments have been made to alter and improve them. Disease has been a problem in the world for almost all the time. In the early 1500s to the late 1700s, people suffered from diseases like smallpox, measles, and typhoid fever. People were dying left and right, and a solution was needed to fix the mass amounts of death. Vaccines had been experimented with to create immunity from snake bites in China, but they had not been created to prevent diseases quite yet. Lady Mary Montagu had also been the first to variolate in England, but her method for variolation was not a surefire fix to the smallpox outbreak. In 1738, a smallpox epidemic struck Charleston, South Carolina. Of the 441 people who were variolated, almost 4% died, while 18% of the people who were naturally infected died. This was a huge breakthrough for variolation. After Edward Jenner found success in creating protection from smallpox, word spread of his findings throughout the world, and Jenner self-published a pamphlet called An Inquiry into the Causes and Effects of the Variolae Vaccinae. In the 1800s, a Harvard professor by the name of Benjamin Waterhouse conducted the first U.S. vaccination on his children. In the late 1800s, vaccine production increased and it was a much more commonly used practice. Towards the early 1900s, vaccines started to take off and more diseases were available to be prevented by vaccination.
Vaccines have had a large effect on the world of medicine. Vaccination has led to the eradication or control of 7 major diseases and many more minor diseases. In total, vaccinations save around 9.3 million lives a year. While getting vaccinated has so many upsides, people still refuse to vaccinate their children, mostly due to the belief that vaccinations cause autism and other developmental diseases. These claims are false. While vaccines can lead to whooping cough, high fever, and even seizures, they have no connection to autism. While the amount of children with autism has risen as vaccines become more common, most researchers have decided that autism has nothing to do with vaccines and is caused by genetics and surroundings. The rumor that vaccines cause autism began in 1998 when Dr. Andrew Wakefield published a paper which used unreliable sources and made false, vague conclusions about the correlation between autism and vaccines. As more and more people stop vaccinating, we may see diseases such as measles and smallpox returning. In 2014, there was an outbreak at Disneyland in Southern California, which gave a total of 149 people measles. Of these 149 people, 88% were not vaccinated or did not know whether they had been vaccinated for measles. In that year, 667 people were reported having measles.
Vaccines have come a long way since they were created. A lot of people today get vaccines to help prevent things like whooping cough, the flu, and tetanus. Vaccines are spread all around the world, but there are still countries and people who don't have access to vaccines. In the future, scientists are working on finding vaccines to protect people from Alzheimer's and hope to improve the current vaccines and make them more effective. Currently, scientists are focusing on how to make a working vaccine for cancer that will keep people safer from the effects of cancer and hopefully make it harder for people to get cancer. Scientists are also working on a vaccine for malaria because in 2015, a vaccine for malaria was approved but wasn't as effective as they wanted it to be. So scientists are hoping to improve the vaccine before giving it to the public. Scientists are also working on finding a vaccine to help prevent HIV. Vaccines have come a long way, from one of the first vaccines drinking snake venom to now where we are able to prevent people from getting certain illnesses or diseases. With vaccines in our world now, we can open up so many more possibilities that will help cure disease and sickness. Hopefully, we can advance vaccines past what they are already and continue to make them better for the people who take them and make them more effective. Overall, vaccines have come a long way. Even though the people who create vaccines are only trying to help, there are always two sides to the argument, being they're good or they're bad. Whether either side is right, vaccines have shown that they can help people and prevent sickness. So no matter what people say about vaccines, what really matters is how they have helped over time.